Hey guys, Lady Lee here from ladyleeshome.com, and in this video we are going to ferment radish. Actually, lacto fermented radish, so we're only going to use salt and water. That's it. It's super easy, a really great way to preserve some of your radish. We mostly eat it fresh, and I love growing radish because you can plant it really early. It's a cold weather crop. It grows really fast, so you can get to that first harvest from the garden after a long winter pretty quickly. The only problem that I have with radish is that my kids will not eat it fresh, and there's just so much radish that I can eat fresh myself. I love sticking it in any salad pretty much, but there's just so much I can eat fresh. So a couple of years ago I tried to lacto ferment it, and it turned out to be an amazing snack. Kind of gives it that salty taste, and if you're growing a sharp variety of radish, the lacto fermentation process kind of tunes down the sharpness of it. So if you have someone in your family that doesn't have the spiciness or the sharpness, it's a nice way to get rid of it and still keep it fresh and easy to grab and use as a snack. So first thing we got to do is go get us some radish from the garden. Let's do it. All right, we got us some radish from the garden. Some people asked me at the farmer's market yesterday, what is it? Because they're used to radish being round. But yeah, it is radish, and it is my favorite variety, which I cannot pronounce the name of. So I will put the name of this variety in the description of this video. It's not too sharp, it's pretty mild, and it grows long, which means it's a little bit, has a little bit less chance of splitting, which I like. It grows really well, grows really easy, about 4 weeks or so, and ready for harvesting. Okay, let me give you a little bit of a overview of this easy process. We're gonna clean up the radishes, remove the tops and the root, and I'm just gonna simply slice them, maybe 1/4 of an inch thick or something like that. Consider that the thinner you go, the softer they'll get faster. So, did I say that right? The thinner you slice them, they'll get softer faster. Yes, you got me. Anyway, maybe about 1/4 of an inch or so. Just slices. I think I have enough for a pint, so we'll do a pint jar. Make sure that you have a wide mouth jar so the fermentation lid is going to fit in there, because we have to make sure that we keep the radish under the brine. We're gonna need water, non-chlorinated water. So if you live in the city, you have to make sure you don't use tap water because it's usually chlorinated. So non-chlorinated water, and then either sea salt, kosher salt, or canning salt. So non-iodized salt. All right. As far as seasonings, I'm gonna use mustard seed, just a little bit, maybe a teaspoon in a pint jar, and 1 clove of garlic that it's pretty small, but I'm just gonna crush it. I'm not even gonna peel it. So that's super easy. You can add oregano, thyme, rosemary, mixed pickling spice, bay leaf, spicy hot, you know, dry peppers, whatever you want. There's so many different ideas. I will also link the blog post for this fermented radish on the blog. So if you want to go there, there's all kind of ideas for seasonings that you can use, and you can make it a little different every time until you find whatever you like best, or just do it a little different every time to change a little bit. I'm going to, again, just clean the radishes, then we'll pack them in the jar. We'll put the seasonings on there, add the seasonings in there, and then make the brine and add the brine. I'm gonna bring the camera a little closer so you can see what I'm doing, and that's it. Let's get it going. Okay, that was easy, right? I don't know if I mentioned before, but I used 1.5 tablespoons of salt per 2 cups of water. You can go anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon per cup of water, depending on how salty you like your ferments. Don't go over 1 tablespoon per cup of water, because that will mess up the fermentation process. It's way too much salt. So what's gonna happen next? I'm going to take this bowl and I am going to put my jar inside of the bowl and leave it on the counter at room temperature for about 7 days for a pint jar, more like 10 to 14 days for a quart if you're doing a quart. You will notice after a couple of days that the brine is getting foggy and that bubbles are starting to rise to the top. And that is perfectly fine. That means that the fermentation process is working. If you are not using a special fermentation lead that lets the gas out, then you are going to have to do it manually, which is not a big deal. It's just once a day. Once you start seeing those bubbles rise to the top, you have to kind of open the lid a little bit and then close it back up. That's it. Once a day or so, just to let some of this gas out. I will link below to fermentation leads that have little thingy on the top that lets the gas out, but it's really not a big deal to just do this once a day. After about 7 days, you'll notice that the brine is getting clearer again. And it will never be as clear as it is right now, but it will be different than when the fermentation process was active. Once the brine is getting clear again, then it means that the fermentation process is done and the jar is ready for storage. You want to store the jar of fermented radishes at the refrigerator, or if you have a root cellar, it's better stored at a cool, around 40-45 degrees Fahrenheit, and that will make it last for months. It can stay at room temperature, but the radishes will get softer quicker. So if you know that you're going to use it within a couple of weeks, you can go ahead and leave it on the counter. As long as everything is under the brine, it should be fine for a few weeks. If you leave it in the fridge, it will last for a month. Make sure that the vegetables, the radishes, are always under the brine. So I usually leave the fermentation weight on there for, a few weeks until we eat at least half of it. And then once I take it out, then usually everything stays down below. A lot of people ask me if they can add vinegar. A lot of people like the taste of vinegar and want to add vinegar. You can add vinegar. It's not going to be exactly lacto fermented radish if you add vinegar, but who cares? You can add, if you want to add vinegar, add maybe to a pint jar 1/4 of a cup. Add it at the beginning, then add the radishes, then add your seasonings, then add your vinegar, add the brine on top of that, and when you close the jar, just give it a little shake. Do the same thing, leave it at room temperature to ferment, and then store in the fridge. That's it. If I forgot to mention anything, I will list it in the description, and all the recipe, the printable recipe, the step-by-step picture tutorial, it's all on the blog, and I will link to that too. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments and I will answer. I hope you enjoyed that video. You can really do this with any kind of vegetable. You can do it with beets, you can do it with carrots. Root vegetables work really well, but we also do it with like the tiny lunchbox peppers, even tomatoes. You can lacto ferment anything this way, and the result is a probiotic food that is really good for your gut, and is the easiest snack to just grab and eat and enjoy. Put it as a side to a sandwich, stick it in salads, just have it as a snack, whatever. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe and like this video, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye.